Alright guys, I'm going to teach y'all how to do fortune telling with a deck of playing cards. Playing cards, just a standard deck, is something you can pick up anywhere. You might even have one lying around. So that's really great for, you know, the fact that you can easily get a deck. You can make sure that this deck isn't used for anything else, or you can use it to play poker later at lunchtime. You always want to make sure you shuffle your deck really well. About 7 times is appropriate, or, you know, for the best divination. I don't pull mine off the top, I spread mine out. And this is just because I do a lot of questions all at once. I don't want to be limited to that top card. I want to be able to choose my cards. So, will 100 people see this video? And so I pull a card at random, and the best way for yes and no for me is black means no, red means yes. So this is saying no. 100 people will not see this video. Okay, pull another card. Will my love life improve in the next week? I get a red card, so that's a yes. So you put it down. Now another way you can do these is by using the numbers that you get on cards. You could say that all odd numbers are no, and all even numbers are yes, no matter what color your card is. And that's a pretty basic way for doing divination. My favorite, though, is red is yes, black is no, but some people prefer to do the numbers. When you do get the numbers and you get face cards, you can say that those are a maybe. And as for an ace card, you can say that, well, ace is supposed to mean 1, so it's odd, so it's no. Or some people prefer to say it's like a victory card, so it always means yes. And that's a personal preference. But before you start playing with these, you might want to make sure that you have what you want those to be before you start doing them that way. That's just in case you come up with one you don't want to sit there and stumble, go, well, I think it's a... You want to just, before you've shuffled your cards, know how you're going to pull them. So pulling by odds and evens, I'm going to ask some questions. Will my 2 neighbors fight in the next week? You know, we're ignoring color, but we get a 10, which is a yes because it's even. So yes, they're going to fight in the next week. Will I get a new cat in the next month? Oops. And it's okay if your cards get all jumbled up. Ooh, we get a jack. So this is a face card. And on face cards, like I said, you can think of them as a maybe, or you can actually say that a jack means this, a queen means this, and a king means this. So you can say it means maybe, I don't know, or maybe you're not ready to know the answer. And you can make that up as you go for the face cards, because that's really, you know, something that you make up as you go if you'd like. For me, it just means maybe, or unknown. And so I'll stick that as an unknown. Remember that these are never 100% accurate, but if you want to figure out which way works best for you, journal your results and your questions so that you can figure out if these, you know, what works better for you. Is it the red and black or the numbers, and what works best for your face cards if you want to do it that way. That helps you to figure out how accurate you're being with your readings. Alrighty. I'm going to teach you something else now. You can combine these 2 methods of red and black and the numbers. And it's kind of a mini third way that you can do yes and no. Basically, it's stating that, here we go, if you have a red card, it's a yes, and if it's also even, it's an extreme yes. This is a very strong yes to your question. However, compared to this one, you have a red card, which is a yes, and you have an odd. So it's still a yes, but it's not as strong as the other yes. And on this one, you have a no, because it's black, and then it's kind of a light no, you know, so it's a no, but, you know, things could possibly change. Same with this, yes, but things could possibly change if you wanted to believe that. As for face cards, you can actually say, well, it's a maybe leaning toward no. And that's my favorite way of doing it, maybe leaning toward no. Or unknown, really, but it's more on the no side. So that's one way you can do those. That is actually a way that I do it when I feel like just saying red and black are not, this, you know, they're not doing it for me, just saying yes and no by color. Then I'll add in the numbers. Now, you can also add in numbers through numerology and things like that, but that also is a little bit more advanced. So So another thing that you can do that is advanced is, oh wow, I actually do have all 4 suits here. That's kind of entertaining. That was an accident. You have your hearts, your diamonds, your clubs, and your spades. Each one of these is a different suit, and tarot has 4 suits as well. For tarot, you have the hearts is actually the cups or the chalices. The diamonds in tarot is actually referring to the pentacles or the coins. Your clubs here refers to the wands or the rods in tarot, and your spades represent the swords. So this right here, if you kind of know what tarot is, you can actually use your deck of cards like tarot. You just don't have the major arcana. Now, you can simple this down a lot by saying, well, let's use the associations with the suits in tarot. So, the hearts is going to mean the same thing that the chalices mean, which means they're going to go over emotion, relationships, matters of feelings and of the heart. Then you have your diamonds, which in tarot would be your coins, and they represent things involving money, prosperity, abundance, anything, your budget, things like that. Your clubs is going to be your wands, and that's going to be like your social life. It's your friendships, and it's, whether or not you get out, things like that, if you socialize. And your swords is going to represent work, or your spades is going to be the same as your swords, which represent work. Or if you're in school, it's going to represent your schoolwork. So, like careers and things like that, or, if you haven't been studying, it'll represent that. So you can say things like, what should I focus on for the next week? And you can pull a card. And see, this one's telling me I need to focus next week on my money. And so we're ignoring all the numbers and whatnot, we're just going by the suits. So this is saying, I need to focus on my money. This might mean that next week I have a bill that's due, which is actually true, and I need to make sure it gets paid. It could also mean that, maybe I need to relook at how I'm spending my money. Things like, basically it's saying something involving money is what I need to focus on next week. And so you can just kind of look into your life and figure out exactly what it is that I can pinpoint that card to. And I can ask even more questions and then go off yes and no to figure out exactly what that card was to mean. But I'm not going to right now. You can also do this to see how your relationships are going to go. So how is my relationship going to be next week? What would make it improve? And so it's saying, well, to improve my relationship for the next week, I need to work on the actual emotional part, the actual bond between me and my significant other. And that's pretty much what this is referring to. And then I could say, what do my neighbors need to work on for their relationship? You can do this for your friends, your family, everything. This says that my friends need to work on their money problems or money issues for their relationship. A lot of relationships don't do well if, you're out of, if you're living together and you have to deal with money together. Well, this is saying that if they get their money stuff sorted together, it will help to improve their relationship. You can look at it like that. If you get a clubs, instead, if you were to get a clubs, let me find a clubs. So if you were to get this saying what would make our relationship better kind of thing, and this is your social life here, well, it's saying that maybe the two of you need to go out and become social. Maybe you need to go on a date. Maybe the two of you need to go hang out with mutual friends. Things like that. And, or if you were to get this for saying, what would make our relationship better, well, focusing on work maybe it's you're focusing too much on your relationship and you need to focus on other things, or maybe you need to focus on work or school so that it doesn't cause stress in your relationships, because maybe you're slacking off here and you end up with stress from work and you're bringing that, or school, and you're bringing that into your relationship, and you need to focus on this instead of, whatever that you are focusing it on. And so that's the easiest way that you can pull these cards. And you can just keep on pulling for different types of questions. And the cool thing about doing it this way is you have the ability to use your intuition a tad bit, because when you're using it with the suits, then that allows you to, figure out, well, what does that card mean? Sure, I know this means work in school, but how does it relate to the question? And then that uses your intuition. Whatever's the first thing that pops into your mind is probably the answer. And you're also using your intuition because you have no idea what card you're pulling. But somewhere in the back of your mind, way far back, is actually what card is what, And so when you know what you're trying to pull for, you know, if you know that black is going to be no and that red is yes, then your subconscious is going to tell you which card to pull. And you're going to pull the correct card. Now, it might take a while before you start really getting accurate readings. And that's okay, because sometimes it's just really hard to connect to that part of your brain that knows the answers, that you don't know knows the answers. You know, your whole subconscious, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. That's what you're actually tapping into when you're using cards. It doesn't matter if they're tarot cards or playing cards. They work the same way. And no matter what, you can get really good results with just a very simple thing. I mean, who would have thought that playing cards could be used like this? Most people don't know this. And there's other ways you can do playing cards. Like there's whole sets of books out there that tell you how to use these for fortune telling. You can get on there and there's websites for this. You know, where the Six of Hearts really means some, you know, something. Some people say they're the exact same meaning as tarot cards, so if you know the meaning of the Six of Wands, then that's the same as this meaning. But you don't have to do it that way. And even if you change up what I've told you to make up your own style, if it works, it works. Don't mess with it. You know, whatever works for you is your best thing. And I like playing with playing cards because this is actually what gypsies used. They didn't always use tarot cards. I mean, you got to think about it. Tarot cards had to be derived from something. They got derived from these. Or at least that's the theory. And there's lots of stories of gypsies using playing cards to do fortune telling when they were done playing their poker games. So that's why I'm drawn into them. Plus they're simple. Everyone normally has a deck of cards at their house. So when they're like, oh yeah, man, it would be so cool. I wish you had your tarot. You go, oh, well, just hand me a deck of cards. And I'll read their fortunes that way. And they're just so amazed at what you can do with a deck of cards. So try it out. Freak out your friends. Keep a journal if you want to figure out if your readings are accurate. Give it some time and see if it's for you. If not, and you know, you might just not connect well to regular deck of cards, and you might want to look into oracle decks or tarot. But for most part, if you can't connect to this real well, unless you get a really illustrated deck of tarot, they're going to be about the same. So if you're having problems with this, post your questions and I'll try to help out. Otherwise, you know, I'll help you find maybe a different type of deck of cards, such as an oracle deck or a certain type of tarot, because some tarot isn't, you know, it's more than just this. It goes into beautiful detailed imagery on pictures, and some people, that's what they have to start with. But this is pretty good if you can't afford tarot, or if you're in the broom closet. No one suspects a deck of cards. Well, let me know how it works for you. Comment and post below.